Welcome back.
Jeff left.
It is another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. Apparently, we're in shambles, as is the entire University of Cincinnati, which we'll get to very shortly. But we thank you for joining us tonight. Real quick, we did want to do a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to be changing the way that we present our live stream going forward after tonight. Tonight will be the last time that we have simulcast live on the Pardon the Punctuation YouTube channel and on the Bearcat Journal YouTube channel. Going forward, we will just be on the Bearcat Journal YouTube channel, and we will post clips and the entire episodes if you want to watch them at your leisure on the Pardon the Punctuation channel. But for now, that is going to end after tonight, the way that we've been doing it. So if you are watching on the Pardon the Punctuation channel, if you want to switch over to the Bearcat Journal channel, you can do so. Also, Bearcat Journal did want to drop that they forgot to turn off the sale. We are still running the 75% off sale, at least until they turn it back to normal pricing. So you can hop on there and get Bearcat Journal for a year for roughly about $25 with the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale that they have left on for reasons unbeknownst to us. And get yourself a ton of savings there. Gentlemen, before we get to the big topic at hand, as we normally do,
let's start with saying hi, Steve. Hi, Chelsea. Geoff, John Simpson, and the Make It Home group. Francis, Drew, Crib Keeper. What's up? Thanks for being here right off the rip.
Drew, welcome to the Bearcat Journal family. Appreciate that. Hi, Deanna. Goodness.
Like, I feel like a streamer every time I hear you guys do that. Like, somebody says they subscribe, I feel like you as a streamer, like, thanks for the sub.
We're literally streaming, so it is.
But like
what we're
gaming,
doing.
Whatever.
I mean, it's just without the game. We talk about the games. We don't actually play them.
I feel like we should have some sound effect come up, like this big celebration.
We do enough of the sound effects on this show. So
yeah, Steven loves our sound effects.
He hates it. Well played, T-Win. T-Win says it.
Yeah, go ahead.
T-Win says, damn, it must be serious with Jeff wearing his tactical gamer glasses, as opposed to his primetime outfit that he had the other night.
I've got a little bit of a headache, all right? And so I got to have the blue light glasses on. There's so much going on in front of me.
Norbeck, you can get the Bearcat Journal logo next to your name if you sign up to be a member of the Bearcat Journal YouTube channel. And we are going to start, we're in the process of planning something for members only. I'm not sure how frequently it's going to be, but I know Chad and I have been discussing what we're going to do in regards for the YouTube members to make sure that they are getting something for signing up other than just having the Bearcat Journal logo next to their name. So
emotes in there and stuff.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe.
No, Ed, no more sound effects.
Steven loves my sound effects.
Well, I think it was funny that at some point last night, Chad was doing something where he was yelling about something, and in his yelling or impression or whatever it was that he was doing actually woke up someone's dog, according to the chat. But that's Chad for you.
That's He usually wakes up his own dog.
So real quick, we're already 4 minutes into this. How's your week been, fellas? As we always start there. It's been the longest week of my life.
I think somebody said it best the other day that like this week has been the longest year of their life.
Yeah,
like,
I mean the Maui Invitational seems forever ago.
The Tulane game seems forever ago.
I honestly don't know that I remember anything from the Tulane game at this point.
I mean, we wrapped up the Bearcat brunch Sunday morning.
That seems so long ago.
Luckily, we wrapped it up pretty quickly, right on our normal ending time, because otherwise we probably would have been there for several more hours. Because it seems like pretty much right after that, our phones all started buzzing with, hey, this is a thing that might be going on right now, and it quickly became something that was going on, and then sadness.
Norbeck, real quick. I know you're a Bearcat Journal member on bearcatjournal.com, but here on the YouTube channel, there's an additional membership. If you did want to pay for that, that's where we're going to be doing something separate for the YouTube members only. But again, that's something that's evolving. It's not anything that we're quite ready to announce or launch yet. So we'll be letting everybody know as that comes to be, but it'll be a show strictly, one of the live shows strictly for the YouTube members. So it'll be something that we can interact with you in different ways than what we normally do. So, all right. Ed, how's your, remember when we had a head coach? That seems forever ago. Ed, how's your week been?
I mean, it was great until Sunday, I guess. I had some ham on Thanksgiving because turkey's overrated. And
oh yeah, I forgot Thanksgiving was.
We had
our last show.
Thanksgiving happened too.
Jesus.
Had some ham. Found a new beer that I liked. It's pretty good, and and then Sunday happened.
I mean, you look like you're feeling good enough to wear that hat. So
I couldn't find my red hat, but I just spotted it over here in the corner, so I'll probably grab that in a minute. Because the hair was apparently up high today for you guys. Again,
look at that, Johnny Bravo.
Yeah.
All right.
Aaron, how was your week?
I don't even want to get into it. I've gone through a gamut of emotions, and I feel like I'm at the anger stage of grief. So tonight should be interesting.
I do want to throw that out there, John. It was a great week because the U.S. is undefeated in the World Cup.
Well, didn't they tie at some point?
It's still undefeated in the World Cup.
2 ties.
They had 2 ties, yeah.
They've scored 1 goal in 3 games.
They scored 2 goals in 3 games.
Mid.
I don't know if you saw Pulisic's goal today and then straight knee to the abdomen. But
every time I saw his name, I just kept scrolling because I don't care about soccer.
Fine.
So it's football season.
Fine.
American football season.
That's fine.
Could be a very angry PTP.
It's going to be a very angry PTP night. I have a feeling. I have a feeling Jeff's going to quit the show tonight.
That's not going to happen. I'm not a quitter like that.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's get into talking about the biggest news of the week.
What would that be?
Has left the building. He is not a weasel, a badger. He is a badger, Wisconsin.
Oh. I see what you did there.
Not a weasel.
Pretty good.
He is a badger.
Pretty good.
Where's Chad at? Chad's actually in the lobby. He doesn't always join the show, but when he does, you know it. So coach has left. Obviously, he took the deal, $7.9 million a year. Ed, Jeff, and I have had a couple different opportunities to speak on it, but Ed, what was your initial thoughts when you heard that coach was taking the job in Wisconsin?
Well, my initial thoughts when the tweet first came out was, what the hell is Amy going to do in Wisconsin? Because I don't think there's anything out there. But then, things started heating up and I realized that this was going to happen. My initial thoughts, I think just like you guys was shocked. This wasn't the news I was expecting. We still have a bowl game. He's talked all these years about how he wants to grow a legacy here. He wants to create a team. Can't do what he say. He can't do that in just a few years. He just signed a contract extension back in February. We're building a freaking indoor practice stadium before. The Bengals got theirs first, but we committed first. I just didn't. I was in shock, and then after Pete Thamel put it out, a couple other people started putting it out. Then you started sending me text messages with shock. So I just didn't know. I was in shock. Why should my beard enter the transfer portal?
Only if it takes the hat with him.
Oh, you guys don't like the hat? Do I put a different hat on?
No, finish your thoughts. I'm sorry.
That was my thoughts. I was just in shock. I actually I was in so much shock that I actually put Like took clothes out, folded clothes out of the laundry basket and put it in the drawers as I was waiting for the news to come out. Like that's how much shock I was in. Like I actually, most people leave it in the laundry basket. I actually put it in the drawers.
Okay. Well, like you, I don't know that any of us actually expected Coach to go when we initially heard that he was taking a job. It was kind of like Nebraska. We all heard roughly a week and a half ago, I think, even though it feels like a year and a half ago, that he was rumored to be a finalist for the Nebraska job. Instead, he's off to Madison and going to be a Wisconsin Badger. Had to stop myself again. The picture as he is getting off the jet with the family as they're all throwing up W's.
Oh God! Ryan Royer said it last night, but I was also thinking it when that picture came out. He looks so uncomfortable. The only person in that picture who has like a natural smile, I think, is Amy. I think like everybody
just over the top. It's an over the top smile.
She did have quite the smile in that picture, like she was home.
Yeah, something like that.
Isn't she from Ohio?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, Jeff, I haven't heard from you voice-wise since Sunday night. Have you changed your thoughts before we get into what we want to see, what we expect out of the coaching search, all of that? But
Wisconsin, like
I know, man.
Yeah.
So I think like we've talked about it on here. We've luckily, we've had numerous years to kind of talk about it on here with him being the coach. That like, Notre Dame and Ohio State. Those were the two places that kind of we had text groups and different people have come in and out of those text groups, and it's all been kind of the same thing. Notre Dame, Ohio State. Those are the two places that kind of strike a little fear in your heart as a UC fan with Luke Fickell as your head coach.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he had opportunities with, West Virginia, with Michigan State.
I think Florida State maybe, like
there's some other ones in there. I mean,
and
there's been some big program USC. There's been some big opportunities.
Oklahoma has been open. Like there have been some big programs that have opened up.
Yes.
Wisconsin is not a place that I ever thought. Like, I thought that if he ever went back to the Big Ten, it was going to be Ohio State.
Same.
And Wisconsin just kind of caught me off guard. Hold on a second.
Oh, we have a little visitor in there.
He did have a little visitor.
I felt the same. Like when I guess that add on to my emotions, I felt that morning. Like I felt the same way. Like I felt like at first I thought the rumors aren't true because the only school he's going to go to is Notre Dame or Ohio State. I didn't think Wisconsin.
Well, so there's before we get back to Jeff's point, there's two comments here that I want to address. To be honest, I feel like Luke felt his stock was never going to be higher, so he took the best available job in the Big Ten. Simple as that. And also, do we wonder if Marcus getting the Notre Dame job maybe sparked a change for more dollars? I think it's kind of a combination of all of those things. I think that last year when he didn't take the opportunity to interview for Notre Dame because he was, trying to get a national championship. And Marcus, his protege, gets the job that he had coveted as it was one of two jobs. I think that he took a knee-jerk reaction this season, didn't want to miss the boat, because if he goes into the Big 12 with a team that was 9-3 in the AAC, is still going to be losing seniors, you end up in potentially a situation where maybe 8-4 is your ceiling. Maybe you end up somewhere around 6-6 or worse. And all of a sudden, the jobs that were presenting themselves are no longer the jobs that are going to be presenting themselves to a guy who wanted to get it back into the Big Ten. I think his end game is getting to Notre Dame or Ohio State still.
I honestly don't know that he ever had intentions of going to the Big 12 with UC.
Maybe not.
I don't know that he maybe he doesn't feel comfortable in that style of football. Maybe he doesn't feel comfortable in knowing he need to go recruit in other areas more heavily. I don't know. Maybe it is what you're saying. His stock's never going to be higher, and that's probably true. And say what you want. A 9-3 season here is a little bit of a stumble.
Sure.
A little bit of a stumble. You don't make it back to the AAC championship, so maybe he thought, hey, right now I'm
when he interviewed though, you're
right.
You were
that's
not
totally fair too. And I want to get into that as well. Chad touched on it and spoke eloquently his thoughts on that whole situation, that Luke came in here and said all of the things kind of like what Ed said. I want to build this into a top 10 program, not just a top 10 team. Anything that can be done elsewhere can be done here at UC.
Yep.
Everybody buys into it. You feel all these good things. I'm focused. I live under a rock. I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. None of those things distract me. I have things that I'm trying to accomplish here with my team. And then you find out that no, he wasn't. I don't care what you say. He wasn't 100% focused here, because part of his focus was on taking a job somewhere else. Because you don't interview somewhere else in the middle of a season if you don't have intentions of taking that job.
I agree.
Maybe
100%.
you entertain those things in between when the season's over. You entertain some stuff, or maybe you hear some things and you let your agent handle everything, but you don't personally involve yourself in it, and it not take away some of your focus to what you're trying to do here for the University of Cincinnati. And I think that is the point that kind of chaps a lot of UC fan asses.
Well, that's what in the past. That's what he's done.
He's a better way of putting that.
In the past, he's always waited to the end of the season to entertain any of those offers, any of those interviews, and
well, because he has touted himself as a man who needs to focus on championships and nothing but championships. And then this year, he got away from that. Didn't mention throughout the season that he's building a top 10 program. Didn't mention, he did mention that we still are playing for championships, but we didn't hear the top 10 program being beat like a drum this year like we did last year. It just seems like his priorities, I don't know, he was different this year. And
is that hindsight? Like, is that hindsight? Because
I think it's a knee-jerk reaction because he missed out on Notre Dame. He missed out on one of his destination jobs.
Did we notice that during the season that he was kind of, checked out? That he was kind of wasn't, saying the things that he was saying before. Did we notice that during the season, or were we just like, oh, he said him enough, we don't need to hear him? And that's I don't know. I kept looking for, like, back in my head and watching some past interviews to see if I could see, like, where it was that he wanted to go before I read Justin's article.
It's one of those things where, like, he's been here a while, right? We're, like, kind of blessed in the fact that he's been here a while. He's said the same things and all of the right things for so long. He's turned down jobs. So maybe this year it was one of those things where we just kind of figured that was still the path. That was still what was going on behind, Notre Dame's not opening up. Ohio State's not opening up. You can come for our guy, but it doesn't matter. He's not listening to that. He lives under a rock. He doesn't want to pay attention to anything you have to say, when in fact, everything had changed and we didn't know it. And so whenever it happened, and for it to happen as quick as it did, I think a lot of people understand the way that coaching searches go and the way that hiring of coaches happen in the NCAA now across college football. And it doesn't happen in where a tweet comes out right now that says that somebody's being targeted and then they get hired that fast. And so I think there was a lot of people who, rightfully so, started kind of questioning in their own heads and on Twitter, obviously, like, when did this start? How did this happen so fast? Is there something else going on in the athletic department at UC that would make him want to run away from it? Like, what's going on?
Those questions are still out there. I've been seeing them on Twitter. Like, is Johnny Cunningham losing, his touch, or is he making these guys go away? I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Crypt Keeper brings up a very good question here, a statement really. With NIL, are we back to the Rick Minner days? No money.
Well, I mean, the NIL does change a lot. But I don't think we're that far back. I don't think because we could fix that, right? That's something we can fix. We have top talent. We have an indoor practice facility coming. We have people coming to the games. We have people buying season tickets, not just for the basketball season tickets. Like people are still buying them. I think this is just something we could fix with, B-Fox is trying to with Reign Cincinnati or Reign Cincy. Cincy Reigns, sorry. And it's just the NIL is just throwing a wrench into it, I think.
Well, okay, so they are building $100 million, plus indoor facility. They're doing all of these things. NIL isn't something based solely at all, actually, in university funds. NIL is something that has to come from boosters and donors and folks in the community that want to assist in building that out, right? They have to be willing. They have to be willing to cut the check to a player to endorse whatever they're going to endorse for them or do whatever they're going to do for that particular party for NIL to work. And if there aren't those connections built, and we talked about this almost 2 years ago on this podcast, Chad and I and Aaron, like all of us, we had a very long podcast that was almost entirely dedicated to NIL and when it was starting and how important it was.
One of your favorite podcasts.
It is one of my favorite podcasts because I bring it up a lot.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where, like, we talked about this university is going to need to make a lot of headway because there are other universities out there that are bigger that have been doing it under the table, and now they can do it out in the light, and their infrastructure of that is already there.
Right.
And it wasn't here. And maybe it's still not all the way built out the way it needs to be.
I think that's one of the frustrations that Luke, he wasn't quiet about his frustration with NIL. And I think that's something he was behind the eight ball on. And, I don't know if that's something that's going to be fixed with him going to Wisconsin or not. But that said, obviously there are some things in place now to try and set up whoever the next coach ends up being here at Cincinnati to try and get that ball rolling. It's obviously not all the way there yet. I wouldn't say that the NIL currently as it stands for Cincinnati is day one ready for the Big 12, but it's definitely light years ahead of where it was 6 weeks ago before we had Cincy Reigns.
And he brings up basically the same point here. Creating a thriving NIL program is hard to do when your head coach is hesitant to embrace it.
Right.
And like Aaron said, Luke was not and was openly not about an NIL program being, this big thing for the university. And unfortunately, it is something that's big. We've seen it already with recruits here and in other places.
Oh, yeah.
That decommit and or just outright commit to a place, and then there's an NIL contract.
Well, and I think
Texas A&M. Look at Texas A&M. You got guys that are like outright saying, like, "Yeah, I went there for a year."
Got my money.
The quarterback at Texas that was at Ohio State,
Quinn Ewers,
he did the same thing. So you have to try and figure out the delicate dance between the two, right? You have to find the kids that are character kids that are not going to do these types of things, and figure out the kids that are coming to play with you. That said, I think Luke thought that his coaching merit was enough with a smaller amount of NIL, but his coaching merit was enough to recruit kids and get them to stay, as opposed to, throwing bags, 50,000, 100,000, whatever the case may be, that some of the other kids that were in this recruiting class eventually ended up getting from schools like Kentucky, an Illinois, Michigan.
Well, that's been my question since the NIL started. Like, who in Cincinnati, what donor in Cincinnati is going to be throwing around that kind of bag? I mean, besides Jeff Weiler, who can, throw around a bag in a car or two.
Right here, Ed. Use local big name companies to do things like commercials, to do things like brand.
We've seen that already. We saw that with the basketball team last year, right?
That wasn't it.
Simple truth with Kroger. Right, but they got to start offering. That's what I'm saying is they have to start offering more to, like, you know what I mean? Like, they have to start.
But that's on the university. That's on the university to sell, or Cincy Reigns to sell to
these NIL collectives.
All right, that's fair.
Where it's moving, and they need to get. The thing is you've got to get those places to buy in. I don't don't know what you're laughing at over there. What,
Dan-
pure romance?
Pure
I
romance.
mean,
They're a company.
whatever, you know. If that's the thing, that's the thing. Who
There's-
cares? I don't care where it comes from. It needs to like. And
Could you see
obviously,
one of the
like,
players right
Fox
now?
Is like
My
ramping
girlfriend
it up.
loves the Big John 6000.
Whoa, why do you know the
Hey
name?
yo,
I just made that
just
up.
saying.
I just made that up.
Did
yeah,
you?
that's all right, Ed.
it
All right.
was a made up name.
I don't know. I mean, I saw a boxer who's doing something with the Big 12 this weekend. Who he's one of the 3 names that came up for whatever they're doing in like the pregame show, halftime show, etc. for the Big 12 championship. I know he's involved in some way, shape, or form. This boxer, but when I clicked on his profile, on his Twitter profile, on his trunks, it has OnlyFans. People are, I mean, just you have to rep what's going to pay the bills, right?
Well,
Like
that's fair. Yeah, I understand that. I did not know that most of the TQL family went to UC. So yeah, they could throw some bag around. They got that stadium they're working on right now, but
I know, right. So I don't know. There's obviously some large local companies that you can try and tap into to take advantage of this, because there's a lot of headquarters here in Cincinnati. Do kids want to do commercials for companies they never heard of, or do they just want money airdropped in their bank account? Well, that's not the way it's supposed to work. Sure, they want money airdropped in their bank account. That said, there has to be an exchange, from my understanding, of some sort of good or where from
service.
From the
like
the
for
athlete.
example, last year the basketball players were posting like little pictures of them eating Simple Truth chips or something like that, right? And so that, I mean, they could do that kind of stuff for the money. They don't have to do a full, made for TV commercial or anything like that.
David, Kroger's involved with Louisville. Kroger's involved with Kentucky. Kroger's involved in some capacity at Cincinnati. They're involved. It's just they've spread themselves out. So I don't know how much they would do in that regard without ruffling the feathers of direct competitors for some of these student athletes with Kentucky and Louisville and that. So we'd have to see in that regard.
To Keith's comment here, wasn't here it is. Wasn't he said like being given a truck to drive around? Wasn't Dez given a car in Tennessee or something like that?
From down in Louisville. There was a car dealership, but he did commercials and stuff.
He did commercials for him, right? So I'm saying they have to exchange something. Yeah,
I didn't know that one.
But NIL is that is an important part, and you heard John Cunningham talk about that when he was discussing the coaching search when he did his press conference. Chad was there. Chad live streamed it on his Twitter account. Or I think it was on the Bearcat Journal Twitter account. It might have been on Chad's. Whatever. He live streamed
I think it's his Twitter account.
And John Cunningham talked about the fact that NIL is embracing NIL, understanding it, utilizing it properly is something that is important for the next head coach.
Let's get a PTP NIL deal going. Like everybody listening right now, 127 of you, donate $12, and then we can just, I don't know where I got $12 from, but then we can. That's not going to be enough.
It's not. It was a good. It was a.
I should have thought it through a little bit more. I should have put together a PowerPoint.
Sounded better in your head.
Yeah.
How about if they want to? If people want to help that out, they can go to @Cincy Reigns and go through the NIL.
Yeah, let's just
collective.
do that. Yeah, everybody. That's
a better idea.
120. Go to @Cincy Reigns and donate the money.
Well, they have different levels. I don't know if you can find that picture. I don't know that you necessarily want to show that tweet, being that it's from one of our competitors, the one that I saw. But in any case,
most mutually advantageous for NIL. Yeah,
sure. And I think that's the same with donors. I don't think you see your big level donors, like your guys who are helping build indoor practice facilities and things like that, involved in the NIL either. I think that's where you see your mid and lower level donors involved is through NIL. Like that's where they can make a difference and feel like they're part of the
and that's why collectives are important, because you can have those guys that can't afford to put their name on a building at the university can afford to donate that money to a collective that then can be put together and say, and obviously we discussed it way back when, NIL can be a little more helpful in, like, say, basketball, where you can target like 2 guys and really kind of turn around your program there with like 2 guys with pretty big NIL deals, and then like maybe the rest of them aren't. Okay, what is this?
Ed, if you can read the small print there, Ed, because I don't know that you're going to get it big enough for people to actually be able to read.
It says fans of University of Cincinnati now have the opportunity to support student athletes directly by subscribing to Cincy Reigns. Each participant level offers exclusive benefits, and contributions can be designed or designated by specific sport, with funds being allocated equally among the participating teammates.
So $50 a year gets you a membership card decal and access to the Twitter community. $150 a year gets you everything on the walk-on that makes you a starter, and gives you the exclusive can koozie.
Yep.
And a quarterly newsletter and access to the yearly fan fest.
Ooh.
$350 a year gets you everything that a starter does. So $350 makes you a captain, gives you access to the premium tailgate, along with I can't even read that, Ed.
Signed gear and memorabilia.
Okay. The 1200 gets you the all Big 12, which is everything as a captain plus
autographed poster.
Thank you. And $51.30 a year as an All-American, makes you a team player using the acronym TEAM, which maybe they shouldn't use that, as that was on the vest of
that might have to change
the previous regime.
The previous regime. He's
now joined say that for him now.
He's now joined the ranks of the previous regime.
But that gives you everything that the All Big 12 gives you, plus exclusive perks and access.
Yes.
Maybe that's TBD if they
get
TBD. one of those 5130s. So that's essentially the levels of the Cincy Reigns. That's at this time has nothing whatsoever to do with any of this space, Bearcat Journal and all of that. So
right.
So here at Texas A&M is guaranteeing linemen $50,000 in NIL. I mean, what's this turning into at schools who already built the infrastructure? $50,000 is honestly, from everything that I understand, $50,000 is becoming quite the number at many schools when you want to recruit roughly around that high 3-star to 4-star level, and 5 stars where it starts getting bananas. So that does not surprise me at all that A&M's guaranteeing $50,000 in NIL.
And the other thing is, like, some of those guys, and we saw it on Twitter, like some of those guys are getting their initial 1 year of NIL somewhere, and then hitting the transfer portal and going where they initially wanted to go, or whatever, heading somewhere else to get another NIL deal that's maybe more lucrative.
Well, and I know one of the deals that Cincinnati had going on here was good grades. They got part of the NIL deal, and that came directly from the university, actually, to my understanding, or they were involved in some way, shape, or form. I don't want to actually speak out of turn here, as I don't completely know the details, but I know that underclassmen made more than upperclassmen, and as long as they had good grades, they were getting a kickback for making good grades. I don't know what the dollar amount there was, but that was something that was happening on campus. That said, I guarantee you it was nowhere near $50,000.
Probably not at all. There was another one over here that I wanted to, Michael brings up Dion, and I'm sure we will hit our
it's about that time to get into
who your number one pick is.
Not just that. I think you want to talk about what we want to see out of the next coach as well.
That's fair.
It's about damn time.
Go ahead, Ed. What's your do you have kind of like what your thought process is on who you want as a head coach, or what you want to see out of the next head coach?
So my initial is I think the same as Aaron, and I think a lot of people. I think Deion Sanders prime time is a big splash. He would be good for recruiting. He understands NIL. Yes, he's only been at Jackson State for 3 years. One of them being a COVID year. But I mean, we need a splash, and I think that makes a big splash.
Okay.
As I've given this more and more thought, whoever you bring in, if it's not a big name, if it's not Deion Sanders, which
Right.
is the biggest name that's been ballyhooed, Urban Meyer's another big name who I want nothing to do with, let me be clear, but would also be a big splash guy.
No.
Let me get through this. Those two guys would be able to, with the way that things are trending in regards to the recruiting class going elsewhere and players starting to enter the transfer portal, this roster is going to be makeshift. It's going to be a little bit patchwork comparatively to what we've seen over the last several years and what we've grown accustomed to. If you bring in one of those two guys, they are home run hitters in regards to recruiting and have long track records. At least Urban especially has a long track record of winning, obviously with 3 titles. Deion's done very well at Jackson State thus far, and I have zero reason to believe that when he enters the D1 ranks that's going to stop or slow down. So I think they would be very good in putting together a damn good roster immediately. That said, if you bring in a guy that doesn't have a ton of those things, the charisma, the recruiting chops, the acumen to be able to say, I did this in my career and have these wins and these titles, or I've been here as an athlete and can get you where you want to be, what could potentially happen is that coach could end up going 4-8 in the very first season of the Big 12, or even 6-6. And this town is not prepared mentally.
Fan base won't have it.
They're not prepared for that mentally. So what you could run into is a guy getting run out of town very early on. And now you're looking at similar to what the basketball team has had to do, but on a different scale. Obviously, football and basketball a little bit different. Basketball you can fix a little bit faster, but with football you could end up in a big hole.
Michael Beer says, I just figured it out. The next coaching staff is Aaron, Chad, Jeff, Big Ed, Rover, which I think it means Royer, Brent, and Dave. I think I've gotten everyone, so go Bearcats.
I think if you want to go maybe
0-12.
1 and whatever.
No, we're not getting 1.
I'd be the first coach to try to put myself into the game.
Oh, man.
I don't know. I'm just worried about even with a guy like Hartline, who's not been an OC, he's not been a head coach. He's only been not a player for a handful of years. I think you run into, if he doesn't start off hot, or he doesn't have the block O on his chest when he goes to recruit a kid and instead has a CPAW, that you're maybe running into a little bit different of a situation where you're not bringing in 5 stars, you're not bringing in 4 stars. And now you're like, oh shit, what do I do? So I think that we have to keep in mind that if we bring in a guy that doesn't have the home run hit of an Urban Meyer or of a Deion Sanders, that there's going to be patchwork, and it's not going to be the same as it would be with one of those two.
We are going to be in the football program is going to be the same situation the basketball program's in right now, essentially. And we see how impatient people are with the basketball program right now.
Urban has health issues too.
I mean,
Rob
brings up a good point. Like he says, how are people on the board okay with Urban? He'll take the money and sit on his ass.
Like a Tommy Tuberville.
I think you kind of run the risk of, Tommy T 2.0. But you've got, here we go.
Hi, boys.
Hi, Chad.
I hear we're having a big show tonight.
Yeah, we've been.
Apparently.
140.
I don't know.
Nice.
You put the word crime in the title. And
I've had you on, but I was gone all day.
Catching up with Kelly.
Kelly had apparently like a list of this many things she needed to tell me tonight. So I've been listening to her more than I've been listening to you.
That's fair.
This is a fantastic point. Everyone keeps saying Deion would not fit the culture, but if Cunningham doesn't hire a home run hire here, Cunningham very well could be on the hot seat.
Oh, this is the job defining hire for John Cunningham. Correct. He knows that. You think he doesn't know that?
My
T,
thing
it's
so
DEION.
Cunningham came in here, right, and everybody was like, "All right, like, what's he going to be able to do?" Well, he went and got Wes, right, which I think we all are still thinking was a good thing.
I don't know if you remember what I just said.
And then he went and extended Luke Fickell. I'm talking about the fact.
Well,
that
he had to extend Luke Fickell. Like,
right.
You fire him on the spot if he didn't extend Luke Fickell.
But he got it done. So he's gotten through that. Now he is in a point where we've kind of now gotten past a point that, like, this is not, and there's never a good time for a coach to leave. We've all talked about that. It is what it is. It just sucks when you're on this end of it, especially when you don't see it coming.
Well, you're not always going into a new conference that's bigger and better than the conference that you were previously in.
That's fair.
This isn't like booting Tuberville and bringing somebody in to get the ship corrected in the AAC. You are moving into the Power 5, and you need to have Power 5 guys. And right now, there are plenty of guys who are talking about either decommitting or reopening their commitment and posting other teams that are offering them. And you just can't let this all fall apart and throw somebody in at head coach that can't at least fix some of that, put some, the Band-Aids over the wounds for a little bit.
You don't want anybody in over his head.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting, and I know we kind of
look, but let's be honest about something. Cincinnati is going into year 1 of the Big 12.
Yeah.
We saw, I think, a very clear. Somebody mentioned this to me today. For the past 3 years, not counting 2022, Cincinnati was here. The rest of the American was like here, right? At best. We saw that go like this year. Yeah. There was not a discernible talent advantage. What happens when they go to the Big 12? Even with this entire roster intact.
And even with the entire recruit class intact.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to be playing from a disadvantage in the Big 12 from day one.
Oh, yeah.
So whoever it is might be a great coach, but you're going to be swimming upstream immediately.
But the thing is are you going to be swimming upstream and going 7-5? Or are you swimming upstream and going 2-10 or 3-9? Because if you're going 3-9, it's a little bit harder to go sit in a kid's house and say, this is the place you need to be, than it is if you're like, look,
for sure.
We just moved in. We just moved in here. New conference. This is the stuff that we're working out. We have this opening here that we really need to fill, and you fill it perfectly. And day one, you can come in, and we're gonna, you're gonna affect the success of this team with your ability to play football. It's a little harder if you get you're the doormat of the league and you turn into UConn or Maryland or Rutgers, and that's just what you are now.
Are you still talking about Urban Meyer?
It is hard to climb out of that.
It's hard.
There's a lot of Urban Meyer. There's a lot of Urban. What?
It's like traveling to Lubbock. It's hard.
It's hard. I mean, there's a lot of Urban Meyer talk over here. I think he could still recruit. There are people that say, like, would kids want to come play for him? I think
it has nothing.
Aaron,
Jeff, it has nothing to do with kids. It has to do with moms.
Yeah, Jeff. Urban Meyer walks into your kid's living room and trying to tell Carrie that he wants your son to come play for him and that he'll treat him right and he'll do everything right and your son's going to get a great education.
Teach him how to be a man.
Football team. You teach him how to be a man. And then Carrie holds up a quote from a kicker in the NFL that says that he got kicked by
no one's printing that out. No one
I'd print it off. Okay, hold up on the cell phone. All right, you're holding up on the cell phone. A quote from a kicker that said, "Urban Meyer kicked me. I told him not to kick me again. And he said, I'll do whatever the hell I want. I'm the head coach."
You have to make sure your college age daughter is not home at that point too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
you have to make sure Urban doesn't try to check your mom's oil.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the right age range for him.
I don't know how you can recruit after something like that comes out.
Depends on how early she had the. Never mind.
Ed, you have a fan here.
Thank
Rob
you, Rob.
says he would also print it out.
It makes it. I think it makes it a little bit more dramatic when you like pull it out from underneath the pillow. It's like, what about this?
Urban walks in with 3 national championships, hundreds off to the NFL, or you could have Coastal Carolina with no accolades.
I don't give a shit.
Daniel, let me tell you something about recruiting. Moms make decisions a lot more than dads.
Amy.
We're not going there, Ed.
Okay.
That's you on that island.
That's
All right. That's fine.
I don't.
I take it back.
So, really, but what
she's
we're
gotten
saying
people
here
fired before, Ed.
is like,
I take it back. I take it back.
I mean, you're gonna. Yeah, you want to go work in Lubbock?
It's hard.
It'd be hard.
It's hard.
even Kansas was able to climb out of the Big 12 cellar. It only took a decade.
No, it took a century.
Have you seen their stadium?
It took a century.
I like this one. Prime knows how to talk to moms. Do you think Prime just lifts up his shirt and shows the abs and is like,
He doesn't have abs anymore, Ed.
oh, okay, all right.
But
He's got chains though.
I mean,
Gotcha.
pivoting the Prime, because like there are a lot of people. There are
It's
a lot
not
of
happening.
people that are like,
It's not happening.
Look, it's
Deion
not.
is not going to be the head coach at Cincinnati.
It's a pipe dream.
It is, and we've
This
said that
message
from the
sponsored by
start.
the Easton family.
Okay.
Huh.
But that's the kind that is the kind of deal. Like that's the kind of guy that you need to bring in here. You have to bring somebody in that can stabilize this and bring back some of the recruits out that have gone into the have decommitted, some of the recruits that have opened their commitment back up, and some of the players that are going into the portal. You're not going to be able to get them all no matter who you bring in here. Some of them are already gone, right? We know how this works. They've made
Right.
contact elsewhere. They're already going to go as soon as they hit the portal. It might be a day or two. They're going to go, or they're going to go visit a couple of places, and they're done here at UC. That's going to happen. But
Zach wants the sex box to be the next coach.
We haven't got hit by him yet, by the way.
We haven't. We've been well over
Yeah.
100, 150 this whole time. So surprised they haven't shown up yet. They're running slow today.
like Daniel Burke is not confident that
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Ask and you shall receive.
Nailed it.
get that out of here. What the?
I'm working on it. Hot photos.
Good Lord.
Jesus.
Ask and you shall receive.
I'm not gonna lie. At first, I thought it was somebody just typing it in there, like being funny, and then I read it.
It's all bad. But Daniel Burke doesn't think
Still in there.
that Cunningham's gonna
Oh, he's gone.
be able to handle this. I don't know. Obviously, I think things thus far have been under wraps. We know that, like Chad said the other night, like Monday was going to be totally silent, as that's the day to try to get everything kind of in a row. Who you want to talk to, how you're going to get them here, get an interview in place, and here hopefully for the rest of the week, because this can't drag out 2-3 weeks.
No, it'll be done by Sunday.
It's got to be. So, Sunday, because
Maybe Monday, Monday at the latest, but we'll know. I'm 90% sure, unless something goes terribly wrong, I'm 90% sure by Sunday, at some point Sunday, we will either know who the coach is or we will be attending a press conference to introduce the coach.
Okay.
Which means it would be announced or like public. It would start getting out on Saturday.
But
one of those two.
And it's probably something, well, and it would have to start getting out then, because you're going to have coaches starting to call some of these recruits. Hey, this is the guy. This is what's going on. It's going to be announced on Monday. Give this guy some time to get a hold of you and have, a chat with the head coach and see if this is something that you still want to do. If not, see you later. We got to move on and find some other guys to fill these holes. My wants are obviously very similar to what John Cunningham's. I just hope that whoever he brings in, whoever ends up taking this job, is someone that has either head coaching experience with success wherever they're at, or if it's someone that's an assistant somewhere, can come in and say, I have this person, and this person, as coordinators and maybe position coaches. I'm not as worried about being like big name, whatever, but like I feel like you've got to be able to come in and say, I have this offensive coordinator, this defensive coordinator, this special teams guy. Like, this is who I'm going to be able to bring in with me. They're going to be able to, help me right this ship before it sinks to the bottom of the Big 12, never to be heard from again.
So Aaron, one of the other guys that Aaron has been talking a lot about is Tom Herman. Am I wrong? No. Okay. No. So I did a little bit of research on him this morning. And did you know that him and his wife belong to a group called Mensa?
Sure didn't.
No, okay. Mensa is the largest and oldest high IQ society in the world with more than 57,000 members. It is a nonprofit organization open to people who score at the 98th percentile or higher in standardized testing. How do we feel about a guy who's in a high IQ club as a coach?
What's the opposite of the high IQ club?
Pardon the punctuation.
There it is.
Pardon the punctuation, I think, is the opposite of the high IQ club.
That's funny. What were you going to say about Tom Herman, Chad?
I don't know that he's like we talk about. We don't know that Dion is a cultural fit with John Cunningham. I don't know that Tom Herman is a cultural fit with John Cunningham. He is, as someone described him today, a Dana Holgerson disciple to a lesser. Like, I think he likes his Red Bull and vodka.
Zero issue with that.
Nancy's not here anymore.
I think they are. I don't know that if John interviews Tom Herman, that they will have much in common. Is all I'm saying.
Seeing a lot of talk about Gino as the next head coach. What are your? I don't think the answer to this equation comes from inside.
I don't think so either.
The only person drunker than Tom Herman celebrating getting the UC job will be me depression drinking. Thank you, Thrifty Walrus.
Steven also said that everyone here in this chat is a Mensa member.
That's not true. We are in this chat.
Chelsea's here.
Chelsea loves Red Bull and vodka.
Shots fired.
No, that was it. No, that's not what I meant by that. But I meant high IQ, but that's fine. Whatever, you guys take it how you want. I mean, I did hit up Chelsea for what Taylor Swift songs I should listen to on Sunday to get over this.
That's enough.
It's me. It's me. Ed's the problem. It's Ed.
Hi,
it's Ed.
It's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
Don't.
I only know that because of TikTok.
That is all right. Sure.
Do you guys have thoughts on internal candidates? I personally don't think the answer comes from an internal candidate.
No, and it's not Kerry Combs.
I think Gino deserves a look.
The only option.
I think he deserves an interview.
I think he deserves serious consideration.
Do you
the
think
only options
you would have might already be on his way to Wisconsin? Maybe
not if he's getting a head coaching position.
Well, not if he gets the job, obviously, but like outside of that,
if he doesn't get the job, I think there's a pretty solid chance he ends up in Wisconsin. Yeah, why wouldn't he?
I mean,
there's no guarantee that like the next coach is gonna want his guys.
Yeah.
You know what you don't want to be? That outsider. Like it very rarely ever works where you're especially as a coordinator. As a position coach, yeah, Ed, the crypt keeper loves you, Ed. How's that make you feel?
Great.
Sounds like you should stick around past basketball.
Wonderful. Also, Michael, what am I lying about? Probably about listening to Taylor Swift. Go ahead.
You probably
that you only heard that song on TikTok, I think, is what you're lying.
Yeah, I want to see. I want to see your Spotify at the end of the year.
I don't have Spotify. I have what is this? Apple Music. Yeah,
you made the switch, huh?
Well, Verizon offered me 6 months for free.
God, you're so thrifty.
I will read to you the top 5 surveys that I played.
Truly don't care.
Top 5. So Sing.
No. All right. The whole like Gino not being named interim is a tell. I don't know about that because Kerry Combs was here when BK left.
So
and
I have a little inside info here.
Okay. Well, we're always ready for that.
I think one of the reasons that Kerry stepped up and was named the interim head coach is, and this is something that was relayed from what I've been told from my sources, there was a large Zoom meeting last night between John Cunningham, Kerry Combs, and the parents of the current players. And one of the things that Kerry relayed to them was, I've been through this many times, and I understand how to navigate the hurt, I thought I was going to have to take Ryan Royer out back last night and shoot him.
He was in pieces.
He did not look. Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he was not well.
You could tell, and he's not even on the team anymore.
Right.
Oh.
So Kerry's message was, look, I'm here. I stepped up into this. I volunteered for this because I know what this is like. I've seen it. I've been around it. I've experienced it. Like, I've lived it firsthand multiple times, and I can help these guys. And I think that was like that. That's why you name an interim coach, so that you can have somebody that can provide that. Gino doesn't have that in his background, in his experience. Like, so I think you're go Tigers. So I think that's why I don't know much about no Bearcat, but I know I can coach some ball.
I got gumbo.
I know Joe Burrow. I know Joe. Joe lives in Cincinnati, so I think I can do my thing. I heard they got this place called Natty Pine on the Bayou.
Yeah. There's another place on. That was pretty good. Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
I can do the low, raspy smoker's voice. I've got that, like even with the dialects, not derelicts, but dialects. I can.
I mean, how many times would Ed Orgeron frequent Papadoo?
No, Natty Pine on the Bayou.
What's that other one down on?
Papadoo has Gator.
What's that other one down on Kellogg?
Oh, that one's good too. Shit. I know exactly what you're talking about, but it's very good. I've eaten there multiple times. The one that's just a little bit.
It's all the way out, like by near Lunkin.
It's out past the barbecue spot.
Swampwater Grill.
Swampwater Grill.
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
Thrifty Walrus says 95% sure I can convince everyone up to 25 feet long in the wild.
Including the tail.
Well, yeah, you got to include the tail. The tail is like this long and the Bearcat is like this.
Could you imagine him here as the head coach? Like that was.
I'm in. I'm out on Dion. I'm in on Coach O.
I'm in on Ed Orgeron or Mike Leach. Can we go get Mike Leach?
I'm in for that too. Look. I am in the me business, right? Like,
and those two right there, and then Dion, like that right there is the tops of the like media member like experience. Like Mike Leach talked about his kids not being able to catch the ball, and he was afraid that was now going to develop athletic people in Starkville, Mississippi, with very little arms, like dinosaurs.
T-Rexes.
Like that was his post-game speech.
They're T-Rexes. We're gonna develop T-Rexes here.
I love that guy. I've changed all my mind. I want Mike Leach here. Make it happen. Where's John Cunningham at right now?
Joe. I don't know what a Bearcat is. But I know Joe. I know they got a Joe Burrow steak at the Jeff Ruby's. I'll be a Jeff Ruby. Could you imagine the friendship that would blossom between Jeff Ruby and Coach O?
It'd be unprecedented.
And Dave Gaduli?
All I know is the next Bearcats head coach better be willing to hug Chad on the sidelines like Luke did. The candidate isn't willing to do that. I hope our AD tells him to hit the
I absolutely fucking agree.
I don't know why Chad's not in the interview process.
That came up on Sunday, though. And some folks were saying that was probably the reason Amy wanted to hightail it out of here, is because Chad was getting a little
I cut her in line.
close.
I cut her in line. I got the hug.
Chad's calling them on their beach vacation to do the thon, the subathon. Then
he cheated on Amy with me and Aaron from their beach vacation.
Yeah. That was a good solid show, that one was.
Way to go, Chad. So you're the reason why he left.
Look, I'm in the meat business, Ed. I don't care.
But if you guys want to read all of Chad's stuff and how much he loves the next head coach, you can still subscribe, possibly. Is it still up?
It's still up.
They haven't taken it down yet. It's still up.
And here's the other thing is Hotboard 2.0 went up today. So
and that's already, we're already.
It's on fire. It's not hot. It's on fire.
We're already at 14 plus pages, 20,000 views, 362 comments on Hotboard 2.0.
It's been up for 2 hours.
And that's at bearcatjournal.com. You can head on over there. Apparently the sale's still going on for 75% off. Go over, join it. All the information gets posted there.
Thrifty Walrus says they are going to call Chad in to give all the candidates a hug test on Thursday. I heard that is why Dion is out. He's a noted handshaker.
Thrifty Walrus might be trying to get in on the podcast game here. He might be trying to carve out a show.
I'm the ultimate side piece. That's fine with that. I'm fine with that.
I want to let people know. So
We got to cut up this show.
This is part in the punctuation. And of all the shows on the BCJ network, this one does tend to go off the rails very quickly after we
all do. All of them do. All of them do.
All right, so
there's good content here, though.
So
politely,
I'm not gonna ask Chad to drop his top 3 because he won't. I already know that without asking him.
Not right now.
Ed, drop your top 3.
I don't know. My number 1 and my only one is Deion Sanders.
I like it. Jeff, who's your top 3?
Well, I'm going to start with Dion because that is what it is.
It makes the most sense.
We've talked about it enough the last couple of days that's just where I feel like would be the best and most successful for here. After that, I go to Heartline because I think that I just think that that's a more realistic and one that has the best chance of success, because I think he probably has enough connections or can reach out to enough people to fill out his staff and make it a strong staff to come into the Big 12. And after that, like I think that's probably where you've got to just make that happen. And if Dion's not happening, I'm calling Heartline as the guy.
Well, I would go in order. I would go Dion as well for all of the same reasons. And I'm torn between Heartline or Herman as my 2 and 3, but I don't want anything to do with Matt Campbell.
I don't want anything to do with Matt Campbell.
I don't want anything to do with Urban Meyer.
I don't want anything to do with a coach at a school that is not AAC or better. Not P6.
They hired Brian Kelly from the MAC, right?
I get it. And they've
Urban
done
Meyer was in the MAC.
The track record has been fantastic in regards to the guys that they've hired from. I'm just listing.
I would just say this.
I'm listing my top 3. That's all.
Of the MAC guys, I'm very interested in Sean Lewis. Like, that Kent State job is a disaster. And he runs a super exciting offense. So I think I'm in for an offense guy. I like going into the Big 12.
Sure.
Oh,
Give me a guy that can put points on the board. But of the MAC guys that I added to the hot list today, Sean Lewis is at least intriguing to me because of the people I've talked to. And remember, Kent State took Georgia to the wire earlier this year. Kent State took Georgia to the wire earlier this year. His record is bad, but they schedule 3 just bloodbaths every year.
It's how they pay for the Glass Bowl.
Right. So I'm at least I'm just saying of the MAC guys that were added to the board tonight. And if you want to know the rest, 75% off Bearcat Journal right now. I just put Hotboard version 2.0 up tonight. Somebody asked how many did I do for the basketball search? I did 5.
I asked that.
5 Hotboards for the basketball search.
That one
took 6 days.
And but there was, you were on the, you've talked about it enough. You were on the right track, and then we're thrown off.
I got derailed, man.
Yeah.
Wes deked you. That's what
he did. He did, and he had no clue he was doing it. He wasn't trying to deke me.
No,
he did.
Not at all. But he did. And it
Steven,
happened. But see, that's the thing that like people need to realize. Like in this game of crazy, is like things can like be all lining up that this is what's going to happen, and then something on the side or something gets turned up in a background check of some sort, or something that isn't going to fit right at the last second. Like, that's why like when you see people on Twitter that are like literally throwing out every single option, like with like caveats at the end, like I just whatever. Go to bearcatjournal.com, get your subscription, and learn all of the informations.
Here's the thing. Like, at this point, I've been doing this for 17 years. If I don't have good contacts, I suck. Right? And think about this. Think about the shows that we've had over the past 2, 3, 4 years, and all the national names that have joined us, and all the like sources. Like, if you think about it, I didn't get those people onto the show by accident. Right? Like, you build relationships, you trust those relationships, and you continue them. So I think we've shown 17 years, probably older than that, the chat. Steven, I've been in the media for 25. 25. I don't even know the answer to that because
Deion Sanders.
Would completely surprise me. If we heard, so like what we know from John Cunningham from his last search, the first couple days, a bunch of Zoom calls, a bunch of like phone interviews, a bunch of like vetting and background checks, and then a top 3 interviews decision. Guys tell you who they are, right? Like I was able to nail the timeline yesterday just by going back and looking at like, or at least nail the projected timeline by going back and looking at how the Wes Miller search played out. Guys just, they have a process. I know it because I do. And when we go through stuff, like you have a process of like, this is how you operate. This is how you try to you streamline it. You try to do things the same way.
Now the difference there though is they kind of knew, I think, right?
They're not a fan of me, Thrifty Walrus. The UCF Twitter is not, especially Nikki. Nikki's not a fan of me.
UCF, the Nikki Star.
UCF Nikki, the Nickster, not big on Chad. That's okay.
But going back to the basketball search though, like they had to know that they were going to punt Brandon, right? Like that but you're not calling and vetting, Jeff. You're not while you have a coach, you're not searching for a new coach. You might be building a list.
Yeah, list.
You might be like, you might be. Can you guys get it together?
Rob, I can relate to this, Rob. The voice in my head is also Chad's because I talk to him more than I talk to anybody in my entire life.
Oh boy.
I just real quick want to thank whoever put Allen's Cafe in the chat.
Good. Allen's Cafe is good.
Yeah, because I'm looking at their menu and I think I might be checking them out this weekend.
Allen's Cafe is good. There's also another spot right over there in Mount Lookout that has like In-N-Out style burgers. They do the In-N-Out sauce and they're like their version of it. It's very good.
Deanna said, I made Chad laugh. My day is made.
Current head coach Dave Clausen at Wake, Jeff Traylor at UTSA. If those two aren't there, I say stay home and hire Gino.
Those are big offenses. There's no doubt about that.
I had Clausen on the initial hot board. I took him off tonight. I just
don't give away.
I don't know why he was.
Chad.
I don't know why he would leave Wake. I took him off, so he's not there anymore. I don't know why he would leave Wake. He's a builder, like comes in and like starts from scratch and builds you up. I was very interested in him when this whole thing started on Sunday. But I don't know that he's interested in like doing it again. Because when you do that, you're looking at like a 5-6, like those builders, it's like a 3, 4, 5 year reclamation project. You already built Wake, like you got them. They had a little bit of a dip this year from what they were last year, but I just don't know that he at his age is looking to like go build something else.
The universities still have to grant permission for a school to talk with a coach.
They never had to. It was seen as like a courtesy. And I don't know if you've noticed how college sports has gone recently. Courtesies are out the window.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got ADs sleeping in cars and changing tail numbers on jets to get around without being seen, there's no courtesy.
Changing tail numbers is one. The other one is
Is that legal?
Well, he's probably just taking different jets.
Yeah. Like they'll schedule one jet. Well, here's the other thing they do, Jeff. This is my favorite. Is they will schedule a flight
plan. Yep.
And then when they get in the air, it changes the flight plan. So everybody is looking at, okay, these are the planes that are leaving. Where are they leaving for? These are the planes that are arriving. Where are they arriving from? And then you get in the air and you change the flight plan, and that flight is much more difficult to track.
UC is willing to pay 7.9 to keep Fickell. What about Mark Stoops? 7.9 is close to the top 10 nationally. We can almost get anyone.
Daniel, if they hire Mark Stoops, I'll stab my eyes out live on video.
I'm here for it.
I mean, I think we've already talked about it. Like he didn't even give UC. I mean, it was done. He was not listening to a counteroffer. I think UC pays Luke Fickell 7.9. I think they maybe
Jeff, number. Jeff, I also think it's easy to say we were ready to match when you didn't have the option to match.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, but it's another thing also to say that you're willing to match and like put that out there publicly, and then also like knowing that he didn't even have a chance to do so. But I think you go to that number with somebody like Luke Fickell, who has been here and has done what he's done here. I don't know that you necessarily go to that number outside of
Mark Stoops. No. You want to? I forgot. I do have something I want to talk about.
Okay.
Well, we got a lot of shows still left, so
this will be quick, Aaron.
Matthew Churton's a new member.
Welcome, Matthew. I was at the Cunningham presser on Sunday, right? And I was live streaming it, and I was just live streaming it on my phone. I had my
I think I know where you're going.
Camera next to me, and someone was like, "Can you do something about the breathing? We can hear you breathing." And I was like, "Well, the only thing I can do about the breathing is stop. And if I do that, I don't think we're going to have much of a live stream." What exactly did they want me to do? Can you do something about the breathing? I'm sitting there with the phone, like right next to my face. You're in a chair.
Got to get one of those the tripods like I have.
I already had a tripod set up in front of me with my camera.
Multiple tripods, man.
So this is a concerning question down here. Are we sure that this job is as highly coveted as we as fans think? And I know you brought up a good point that there were some disparaging things mentioned by some national media members.
Pete Thamel and Dave's boyfriend,
Stephen Godfrey.
That's the one.
That, and a lot of that rolled back to like, NIL not being up to snuff to being in the Big 12 and being able to compete in the Big 12. I guess we'll see when it comes out, maybe who the top three are, and maybe who was spoken to during this search? I don't know. I know there's been some talk out there that, like, you know, Tom Herman's not interested and some of these guys aren't interested. Who knows if any of that's real? You can never truly vet where that's coming from. So I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see, and we'll probably know by Saturday or Sunday how coveted this job is based on who they hire and what, you know, else comes out of the hiring process. I would like to think it is still that it's a more desirable job than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Like, you're moving into the Big 12. You've had some success. You were just in the CFP. There are not a lot of teams that have made it to the CFP.
Correct.
So I think that it was shown that it could be done here, and some guys that's pretty attractive. So I think that it's still a pretty coveted job. Is it like a jewel in somebody's hat?
It's not a top 10 program yet.
Yeah, no.
We were working on that, but things happen.
Some people decide that they don't want to be a king; they want to be a prince, and they're okay with that.
You didn't want that statue.
Congrats.
You're not letting that one go, are you?
I'm not.
Bad. All right, Ed. You watched New Heights this week, right?
I listened to it. Yeah.
All right. Well, you have 1 minute to give us everything that you got on the.
We don't get just 1 minute for New Heights, right?
You got 1 minute, and then we can further discuss.
Before you do that, can you explain to all of the people who have never been here for our show before how this show works?
What's going
forward?
on?
Yeah.
Oh, so Aaron came up with this great idea that when we change subjects, sorry, Steven, when we change subjects, we hit the bomb. And
That's
so
not
that
really what I was going with. What I'm trying to say is this show covers UC athletics. We do cover UC football. We cover UC basketball, baseball. If something crazy happens, like if there's some notable things coming out of UC athletics, we cover those things here. But we do also cover, the Bengals. So there'll be a segment coming up on the Bengals briefly. We try to keep the whole thing under an hour and a half. Bearcats basketball is coming up. Bengals Reds. Ed tries to talk about FC Cincinnati occasionally. We do know that there are people that enjoy that.
Because they're mid.
That joke gets thrown around a lot. Ed has a New Heights minute now, as opposed to his previous.
He also has his wrestling minute tonight. He's double dipping tonight.
You're getting a wrestling minute.
I stayed up late last night.
And this isn't like this is some crazy wrestling, like. All
right, so can I get started on my New Heights? Because apparently they're going to give me a minute.
People to know what's coming up.
Also, before you get into that, thank you, Nicholas Kaiser, for the donation of $5.
Hey, appreciate you.
I feel like the push for Gino by the players is eerily similar to how the Notre Dame roster rallied behind Marcus last year. That we'll see.
Yeah,
apparently that happened up at Wisconsin for Mr. Leonard, and
saw that.
Not sure he has a job at this point. We'll see.
All right,
him as a defensive coordinator here.
New Heights. I don't know. Did you guys listen to last week's episode of New Heights?
I have not listened to a single episode of New
All right.
Heights.
So they started it out as they normally do, talking about the games and whatnot. And they were talking about Jason's game and how, Jason maybe didn't do so great on the line. And so Travis was kind of poking the bear a little bit. And then all of a sudden you hear Travis go, "Jason, are you still there?" And apparently what happened was Travis poked the bear so much that Jason dropped off because he got upset. He got super upset that he had let his team down. Basically, he gets yes, sir.
He had a bad snap.
He had a bad snap. Yeah, yeah, and
literally Travis was poking him, and Jason and you could hear Travis go, "Hey, hey," and then it reset, and it was the next day,
and Travis
Jason was like, "I was about to fucking kill you."
So we had a little
time back in.
We had a little brotherly love show up on the podcast this week. Normally there's brotherly love, but we showed some brotherly love this week. But one of the cool segments they did was the backyard football turkey bowl draft. So they had to choose 5 players. Number 1 had to be a former teammate. Number 2 had to be an NFL rival. Number 3 had to be a media member. Number 4 had to be an athlete in a different sport. And number 5 had to be a family member. Travis started
The
out.
family member was the coach, not a player.
Yes. Travis started out, and can you guys guess who he chose as his quarterback, a former teammate?
No.
Zach Caleris.
Ooh.
Talked about how Zach was tearing it up in the CFL. Unfortunately, lost that game. But talked about how he was tearing it up in the CFL. And so I thought that was a nice little Bearcat shout out tied in. You know,
For
sure. Let's see his NFL rival. And you know what? I'll just throw the graphic up here on the screen so everybody can see it. Travis's pick at quarterback and former teammate was Zach Caleris. His NFL rival, Derwin James. Media member, he chose Tony Gonzalez, which I think it's double dipping, I feel like, but
Travis's team is going to get its ass kicked.
yeah, an athlete in a different sport. He chose Bo Jackson. And then his family member, he chose his dad as the coach.
Mike Vick and Randy Moss on the same team? Stop.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Stop.
So thank you. So Jason, as a former teammate, he chose Mike Vick. As an NFL rival, he chose Saquon Barkley. Randy Moss as a media member, again, double dipping, but I like how they went with that. Number 4, his different athlete from a different sport, he chose Shaq. And then his coach, his family member, he chose his mom.
Fair enough.
It was actually a pretty cool segment. I liked how they did that. Then they talked about, their favorite foods, and Travis talked about how he didn't eat much. He got yelled at by his dad a lot for not eating the food because, damn it, I put food on the table. You need to be grateful and thankful. But it was a really good podcast. This week they have Mr. Patrick Mahomes. He'll be on Thursday. I think they're dropping the episode on Thursday. Patrick Mahomes went on right before he had a baby. So that's my new heights for the week.
Good job. All right. Well, on we go as we talk about the Cincinnati Bengals beating the Titans. Bengals were able to stave off the Tennessee Titans with a final score of 20-16. This game was interesting.
It was fun.
We talked about this team needing to get to 10 wins, 11 wins if possible. Had to start here for sure. I think we all picked this one, if I'm not mistaken, last week when we were going through our rest of the season picks. And the Bengals defense was unreal, absolutely unreal, as they held Derrick Henry 17 carries, 38 yards for an average of 2.2 per carry.
He got shut down again, and he's healthy this time.
He was healthy this time. Ryan Tannehill only goes 22 of 34, 291, no touchdowns for that guy. DJ Reader's impact was felt pretty much immediately. He was knocking down passes at the line, and I couldn't have been more happy watching this game as a Bengals fan.
There was a play where DJ Reader took the center, and I don't know if it was like a pulling guard or who took 2 of them into the backfield, ran them into Henry, who then had to bounce over, and it was already filled by Bates and I think Hubbard were right there. And when you see like some of these NFL linemen that move multiple large individuals like at will, like it just, the whole game started off with like the attitude because Samaje Perine put I can't remember his first name, Jones, straight in the dirt with a stiff arm on that little swing pass.
Yep.
It was like the second or third play of the game. And so that was kind of like, this is how this game is going to go. Like, we're going to punch you in the mouth, and if you can't handle it, we're going to walk out of here with the victory. And they did.
And obviously they're playing without Jamar Chase. They're playing without Joe Mixon, who had concussion symptoms still from last week.
And P. Ryan still stepped up.
He did?
We have a problem.
No, we don't.
We don't.
Okay, all right.
17 carries, 58 yards for P. Ryan. 4 catches, 35 yards for P. Ryan. T. Higgins had a great game. 7 catches, 114 yards, and a touchdown. Joe Burrow only was sacked 1 time. 22 of 37 for the day, 270 yards and a touchdown. offense was good, clicking. Even again without mentioning P. Ryan, you still had some other guys doing some things as Williams looked good, I thought.
Look, their line is gelling. We've talked about how that was going to happen, like that was kind of what we expected to happen. They're still like, just like above like the middle. I think they're like their overall ranking, even if you take out the first like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, like I think they rank like somewhere in the middle of offensive lines. But that's what we talked about last year was like, if you just give Joe a line that is competent, like things can happen. And look at the fact, like, here's the thing. You've got people all over Twitter that were like, Joe Burrow is Jamar Chase. Like, without Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow is nothing. Like, look at the dudes he's throwing to, right? Like, okay, you've got Higgins, who's a number one on any other team probably. Like, but
Tyler Boyd's forgotten about at this point.
You're throwing passes to Trenton Irwin, who is making ridiculous catches, and just that's another exciting story of somebody like seeing an opportunity and taking it, like,
yeah,
by Mike Thomas, like, see you later. So you've got the ability, like, you're seeing kind of Joe Burrow, like, for who we all know he is.
He's
like,
cooking right now. We are 7-2 in the last 9 games.
He's rolling in the second half of the season yet again.
7-2 in the last 9 games. Hayden Hurst, 6 catches, 57 yards, a guy that we've continued to be high on. Ed, are you muted? What are you doing?
Yeah, I am muted. Sorry about that. Can we talk about Hayden Hurst extended high for? I had that queued up for a reason. I'll play it. Geoff wanted me to play the dog clip.
Dog.
Anyways, Hayden Hurst extended high for a catch, and I loved it. And I thought that was the greatest Hayden Hurst play of the day until JQ Shipley posted the video of Hurst making that hit on the line. Hayden Hurst was a godsend to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, I think it goes to say, like, I mean, he came in somewhere and he feels like he's like being utilized the way he thought he should be utilized, the way that he's being given the opportunities to make plays, and he very clearly will sacrifice himself into a block and lay people out.
It's been.
Might not.
Make sure you don't play sound on this, Ed.
I don't have sound playing.
All right.
So this is just JQ pointing it out, and then you'll see. Just lit him up. I loved it.
Fantastic. But yeah, he's I don't know. They've been so much fun to watch of late. You hated to see Cam Taylor-Britt get that forced fumble. He did get robbed as it was recovered for a touchdown. Trying to keep up with this forced fumble rule where you can advance it as long as you're not in the late minutes of a game, and then it can't be advanced. That's the dumbest rule.
If it's inside the last 2 minutes, I think it goes back to where the fumble occurs.
Just make it a universal rule one way or the other. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid.
It's incredibly dumb.
That the clock deciphers if it's a forward progress fumble or a fumble where the fumble occurred, depending on.
But isn't that the same thing with, like, if you go out of bounds, like in the last 2 minutes, and the clock stops? But if you go out of bounds,
also dumb.
Then it like restarts and the ball's set.
Rules should be universal. Period. End dot. I don't know. I mean, obviously you had the penalty that ended the game, which I feel like
Hey, don't come at Cal Adamitis when his head's down. Cheap shot.
I saw that. Yeah.
As a Bengals fan, I feel like we're used to being on the receiving end of those types of penalties more so than on the reciprocant of those types of penalties, and I was not mad about that. Don't like to win a game necessarily on a penalty like that, but I'm not going to be upset about it either. I agree, Gilbert. Here in the chat, everyone was mad about not re-signing Uzama. Hurst has been a great addition, hasn't missed a beat.
He's gone past what Uzama did. And he's also a good locker room guy.
Correct. Speaking of good locker room guys, after the game, Ted Karras had some choice words for the entire state of Tennessee. He wanted to make sure everyone in Tennessee knew how much he hated them, as he
Keeper,
was
Smith.
he was basically telling the entire state of Tennessee to fuck right off and go home. They won the game. See ya. I love that. Give me that.
Give me more
Every-
Ted Karras.
Inject
Every
it right into my
game.
veins.
Yeah, right up there.
Also, just because of how fun that was, I'll give his shout out to the Cincy hat that he is. You can find that on Twitter. But he is doing a basically it's a fundraiser for I believe the
I'm pulling it up.
I don't know if he got fined. If he did, I'm sure that all he would have to do is post how much it was, and he'd probably get those donations right to his charity that he's got.
I think it's a nursing home. I kept wanting to say funeral home, and I know those things are not the same.
The mayor says we'll find out Friday if he got fined.
Although, speaking of fines, we did find out that from last week, George Pickens was not fined, nor was
they can just do whatever they want there.
What are we
Even when they're
doing?
not good, they can just do whatever they want.
Don't tell me that you are interested in stopping concussions, NFL, or even trying to slow them down when you don't offer fines for either the hit on Joe Burrow while he was sliding, that was an attempted targeting, and the George Pickens hit, which was clearly targeting on the Tyler Boyd onside kick recovery.
So, quick question. So, I looked it up. Cincy Hat, 100% of the proceeds from Cincy Hat sales will go directly to the Village of Mercy, as they provide services, coaching, and independent housing for adults with disabilities.
Okay.
So everybody go out there and support that. But we've done this before as a podcast. I'll throw this to you guys later.
Okay. Thursday Wallers was much more excited for Lyle and Kappa after free agency.
Same.
Harris is
one
of he's got he is like your traditional like.
He's got the moxie about him.
Like I don't know what I said last week. Like when he's walking, I think it was when he was walking into the locker room afterwards. Like he looks like a regular dude that you would just like run into. Whereas like some of these other guys are just like. You see him like they're like an athlete, but like for whatever reason, he just strikes me as like this regular dude that would be fun to go hang out with and
I'd love to drink a beer with that guy.
I'd love to drink a beer with that guy, and I think that's.
Reps said 100% of Karras' fines will go to whatever Ed just said.
100%.
The only other thing I want to mention, as it came up in the chat earlier, Ed, your boy John Moxley gonna be ruler.
I was
of
gonna
the
mention that in
jungle.
AEW later, but John Moxley will be ruler of the jungle. I don't think you could pick a more intense guy to be ruler of the jungle. So that's pretty cool. Amelia guy.
I don't know why you said Amelia guy
because he grew up in Amelia.
No, you said it weird.
You did.
He's an Amelia guy.
I caught what you were saying, but it was a little bit weird. Can I tell you that next week we play the Chiefs?
Yep.
And they're coming here.
Yep.
I
don't know what to expect.
I think it'll be Jason Kelsey the ruler of the jungle.
After what they just did in Tennessee, and then because Tennessee was on a roll, and after what they just did there, and Chase is coming back. Theoretically, I guess it's not beneficial, but
I think Kadarius Toney is still questionable. I know Dudu Smith-Schuster is back.
Dudu Smith.
That's his name, right?
Yeah. Joe said Karras is the lineman that if you put him on the video board at the Cyclones game, he's chugging 2 beers. Probably 2 beers in 2 seconds. Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
I don't know what to expect. I know we beat them twice last year. We have had Patrick Mahomes' number. I put this right now until things happen otherwise. I put this kind of where Cleveland has Joe Burrow's number until they don't. And
that's fair.
I think we all know. I think Aaron Aaron gave this game a dub, and Ed and I
did.
both said it was going to be an L.
I forgot I have that.
Do you have it written down? Like
That's in sticky notes.
Oh, that's right. It is.
Jamar Chase is coming back from the hip injury. All signs would indicate, at least going into this week. We'll see what happens as the week unwinds. Last week was the longest week of everyone's life here in Cincinnati, so we'll see what happens as this week unwinds. But I don't know.
I think.
Hopefully, Joe Mixon is also back.
Yeah, I mean, I think typically you see that, like, maybe if it's
probably pencil him in.
Probably, like, I think if he doesn't come back next week, like, there's probably like bigger issues.
I didn't know this stat, but thank you, Geoff. 6-1 against the Chiefs the last 7 times they played. Like I said earlier, 7-2 right now, 5-1 in the last 6, 7-2 in the last 9. I'm excited.
Yeah, the Bengals are trending back to the
They're
same
clicking.
direction they did at the end of last year.
They're becoming everyone's media darlings right now, though, and I'm a little nervous about that.
Dan Orlovsky came out like everyone.
I like flying under the radar. I don't know that I like.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah, but do you really fly under the radar at any point when you are like
an NFL team? Period.
Well, when you're a team, like you were in the Super Bowl last year, and like you're not totally out of the picture like the Rams.
Well, we'll see. But again, next week got the Chiefs at I think 425.
Yeah, 425.
So
430. Whatever.
Just as a recap, we all chose a win against the Titans. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Kansas City. Jeff and I called it a loss, and Aaron called it a win.
All right.
Until we see otherwise.
Yeah.
We're saying Aaron could take the lead. I'm kind of glad. Like, this podcast usually goes like an hour and a half as of late. It's a little bit longer than that now. We're going to move into Cincinnati Bearcats basketball, which I think we could probably wrap up
pretty
quickly.
Quick. But
You can't talk until the sound clip is over.
I can do what I want. This is my show.
Okay, sorry, Urban.
I don't know if either of you caught the presser today, but the biggest thing to come out of the presser was Victor Locken. As he was
like a lay and like
he says, "Oh, you guys want to talk about Maui?" Puts on his sunglasses, puts on his black and red lei, puts on his the Bearcat Tiki Bearcat Hawaiian logo bucket hat, and was ready for questions. And that was hilarious.
It was pretty funny. I saw pictures come out on Twitter.
But Vic talked about how he's been working out this year during the season as opposed to last year when he did not during the season. Talked about how he needs to improve on his free throw shooting. He's just showing a lot of personality that we hadn't seen. Said as a Russian, he never expected to play basketball in Hawaii, and that was a surreal experience for him. After he talked, Landers came out and said basically not many college athletes get to play twice in Maui, and that was kind of exciting for him. He said he loves those rims. They are super soft.
He loved them. He loved them in that first game.
And then Wes basically talked about how he hasn't had a ton of time to practice in between games, and now he's finally afforded that opportunity to be able to get some practice in between games, and that's certainly going to benefit this team as they figure out how to try and mask some of their deficiencies, especially with Vic being off the court. He talked about how he would love to play him all 40 minutes, but when Vic's not on the court, this team is different. And I think everyone who's watched any amount of, if you've watched one game of this Bearcats team this year, I think we all know when Vic's not on the court, rebounding takes a hit. But I don't know. What do you want to see as we play NJIT tomorrow night?
It's going to be a huge win.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge win.
20 plus.
I'd like to see, since we were talking about Vic, I'd like to see him carry on with the big games he's been having. The real, high, I don't say high scoring, but for a center. But he's been having good games. He had great games out there in Maui. I would like to see him do that back here as well.
I agree. Jeff, do you have anything to add on to that, as we all have different expectations along the same line, but I think we all have a little bit different expectations for what we're going to see tomorrow night.
I mean, like I said, like I don't care how it gets done because it's not. I'm convinced, and I've written it off as it's not going to be pretty at all ever, and we just need to win games, and this one needs to be won by a lot.
I want to see more. I want to see more out of Finney. I want
Yeah.
to see. I want to see more out of Kalu. I don't know that I want to see more of Kalu, but I want to see more out of Kalu when he has minutes. I would like to see minutes start to trend up for Skillings and Reed, as that is the future. And I don't know. I mean, I want to see just some of these younger guys do their thing, especially against a team that should not be any type of competition in NJIT. Although Paul McMillan is coming home. So there is something to be said for that. Although
I'm coming home.
Don't do that.
Home.
Under 30% from both the field and from three. So that's nothing to write home about. See what I did
I
there?
see what you did there.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, because that was better than my singing.
It was.
It was.
No one had to endure that for more than a half a second.
Oh man.
I meant my joke, not your singing. That was like 2 seconds.
So,
Fine.
all right. I mean, we can recap and then who they play Bryant later in the week.
Mhm. I think Bryant is maybe other than Xavier, I think Bryant is the highest ranked. I'm trying to recall what Brent said last night, but I think Bryant was the highest ranked according to Ken Palm of the teams left on our schedule out of conference.
Out of conference.
Other than Xavier.
Because obviously there's a team in conference that is ranked significantly.
Plenty.
higher.
Yeah. Number one, get out of here.
Referring to Houston. Yep.
I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow.
We do hit that kind of stuff a little harder normally, but we are over.
Like Aaron
time limit
said,
here.
Maui was 4 weeks ago. You ready for
This is
lightning
a
round?
thing.
Oh,
This is a thing.
good.
Waiting on you, bud. Lightning round. We're going to start off the lightning round apparently with Ed's Wrestling Minute.
I messed up. Yeah, you know that's
That's
lightning
okay.
round.
Here we are. So Ed, the floor is yours. Do your thing. Go.
All right. I watched AEW Dynamite Wednesday night. I think this was one of the most disappointing episodes that I've watched. Anyways, started out with William Regal and John Moxley cutting a promo. Bryan Danielson stopped Moxley from destroying Regal. I felt like it was a weird exchange. I didn't know what the hell was going on, why Bryan was talking about his dad and loving Regal. And then basically Moxley just told Regal to leave the AEW, and he just kind of like walked out of the ring and left. I thought it was a weird way of announcing that Regal's could take some time off for health issues, but it is what it is. And so I figured because I only have 1 minute, I'll only review one match. So I did the Jericho versus Ishii match. I'm completely over Chris Jericho. He just needs to focus on music and hang up the boots. He can't even throw a punch anymore. Ishii is destroying Chris Jericho's chest. Like his chest is gone. There's a guy in the crowd with giant over-the-ear headphones around his neck. Like he was just walking down the street and said, "Oh, a wrestling match is going on. I guess I'll hang out here for a few minutes." Then I said that Ishii should have won the match, but Tony Khan won't let him. And then, yeah, I was right. He lost, and it was a horrible main event.
And your time was about 15 seconds ago, but I figured you were wrapping it up.
I figured.
He says it's two-tone beard move now to him having two-tone upper and lower arm.
I can't wait until he dies those.
Is anybody going to Reds Fest? I'm going to start the lightning round with that. Is anybody going to Reds Fest?
No.
Why not?
Like we said, I'm not giving them money right now.
He asked where I was going to go. Not to Reds Fest.
Not to Reds Fest.
Is the
And
answer.
it's a bummer because that was a thing I enjoyed going to with my dad and my brothers. Like we would go to Reds Fest. Dad was always trying to ask somebody a weird question. But like
shocker.
Yeah. Collect some autographs, for the wall over here, but I'm not into it this year. I guess I won't be getting a $10 hat.
That was the
Jeff,
best part
are
of
you
Wes
going?
Best. No,
Wrong button.
that's fine.
And that was extra loud.
Sorry
That's
about that.
perfectly timed.
Sorry, Steven.
All right, who's got the next one here?
The U.S. beat Iran today. Did you guys check that out?
It was on while I was at work today. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I know we already talked about it. I didn't know we were going to talk about it before we got into the lightning round, but you know, it is what it is. So we play. Do we play Norway? I think we play Norway. We play Norway on Saturday.
Netherlands.
Couldn't care less.
Yeah, it is what it is. I guess I'm the only one who's put one in here. Messi is coming to America, guys. Messi is apparently going to sign the largest MLS deal with Inter Miami to come to America and play soccer in America, which is, I mean, that's pretty exciting. Get one of the greatest to play.
Gilbert wants you to know it's called soccer.
And it looks like in the chat they've corrected you. It's Netherlands, not Norway.
Thank you. Netherlands. My bad.
The Dutch. They're wearing their wooden shoes.
And they're probably
under a windmill.
Orange. They're all orange, aren't they? They wear all orange. I do have one real quick for the lightning round, like your thoughts on it. So like since the Tua thing happened in the NFL, they've started the like medical timeout. You know what I'm referring to?
Yes.
If somebody somewhere that they have posted sees something in a player that they deem to be off-putting, they radio down, the officials stop the game, and then that player is escorted off the field and has to go to the medical tent. What are your thoughts on how that could potentially impact a game in like let's say you're in a playoff game at a critical position, critical time in the game, and maybe one of the better players gets pulled off. My thoughts being the game should just stop while they go over and administer whatever, because it's a concussion thing. So administer whatever concussion thing you're going to do and then bring them back out onto the field. I think it's a little bit ridiculous a third party can pull a player off a field and the game continues while that player gets examined in the tent and could have, let's say like the Jets are in the playoffs and they say like, oh, we saw that Sauce Gardner looked like he was wobbling a little bit. And so they bring him off. And now you put somebody else out there, and the quarterback hits, throws for, a pass for a touchdown, and then the game is, now the Jets are losing.
If you're looking for people to be paid off by gamblers,
those are your people.
Those are your people. 100%. I just think that's. I think it would have to be more than one person, right? Like you have spotters all over. I think they keep a dozen spotters or something like that around the stadium for that type of thing. I think it would have to come from more than one person.
I don't know how it works now. I don't know if it's like I see something, so I like radio to Aaron. I'm like, hey, Aaron, do you see that little wobble? I saw a wobble, and Aaron's like, well, I don't know. I wasn't really looking at that guy. I was looking at a different guy. I just think that if they call down and they say like, Joe Burrow has to come off the field because I saw him wobble a little bit. It only, because generally if they get checked out and they're good to go, it's like one play. But we all know that could be a serious, like a pretty pivotal moment in a game, potentially. I just think that you run him off the field. The games already take forever anyway. Run him off the field, put him in the tent, check him out. If he's good to go, send him back out. If he's not, he's done. You put somebody else in.
Yeah, you got plenty of commercial money coming in anyway. Just go ahead and run it.
Throw it to commercial.
Take an injury timeout and run it to commercial. Come on back. Can't take that long to do it. Can you follow the pen? Let me see your pupils. Yeah. And do you know what year it is, who the president is?
That happened on Monday night.
When's your birthday?
So, I think that's probably the end of our lightning round, unless Aaron had anything.
No, I just got bum of the week.
Right, you have a bum of the week. I didn't know you had a bum of the week. All right, let's do it.
Because you're training like a damn bum, you know that? Bum. A bum. You are a bum. You're a bum. And that's all you'll ever be. A bum.
Well, that hurts, man.
My bum of the week is the NFL. The
That's
NFL.
Right.
We'll get to this. My bone of the week's the NFL for just the way that they handled and administered or didn't administer the fines against the Pittsburgh Steelers for what happened last week. It's atrocious, especially if you want to be taken seriously about actually giving a shit about these concussions. Be better, NFL. Be better.
Yeah,
Crypt
I
Keeper
agree. I don't
says,
think there's anybody else that could be a better bum than that.
Crypt Keeper says, no, you didn't, Ed. You did not just comb your beard hair.
Do it all the time.
At least he didn't pull the bat off the wall today.
Yeah, that's true. All right. I want to say before Aaron sends us out of here for the evening, we appreciate everybody that hung around, everybody that was here. I know the first hour was probably what everybody was really interested in, obviously with the UC football head coaching search going on.
Gilbert, you win. You beat me. You just beat me. Bum of the week is Chris McIntosh, AD at Wisconsin.
That's fair.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. So
Badgers.
our Twitter handles are next to our names. If you guys want to throw a follow that way, if you want to follow the PTP YouTube page, there'll be clips and shorts and things like that. Hopefully getting put up there. This show is going to get moved full time over to the BCJ, the Bearcat Journal YouTube page. Like, subscribe to the page. If you want to be a member, that's fantastic. Go to bearcatjournal.com, join up. 75% off, I think, still going on, at least maybe through the end of maybe till midnight.
Who knows?
Get there quick if you want it. Otherwise, I can't be held responsible if you have to pay full price.
And with that, that was another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. For my co-host, the self-proclaimed best producer in the city, Ed Mayhall, for Jeff Howell, and for Chad Brendel, we are Pardon the Punctuation. We'll see you next week, Tuesday night, 9:15 p.m. See ya!
Goodbye.
Ba-dum-bum.